Hello, my loves. I hope you guys are having a lovely day. If not, I hope your day gets better. So, today, my video, if you're watching, is a question and answer on my grandfather. So, my grandfather, if you don't know, he's like a very cool. That's my ace boon coon. Okay, my grandfather. He's a very wise man. He's been through some stuff. So I'm just going to get him to tell him his story for real. And then we're going to get into it. I think my grandfather has really good advice for entrepreneurs because everybody wants to be an entrepreneur. Look, I'm an entrepreneur, like a small business owner at that. And yeah, so I'm going to do a little Q&A with him and tell me what you guys think in the comments. Wow. Hello guys, this is my grandfather, Will Jackson. He is an entrepreneur. You want to tell your business?
Yes, of course. The name of my company was the Jackson Oil Company. My father started the business back in 1963. I got out the Navy in 72. And we decided to make it a partnership. And for like 2 or 3 years, it was a partnership. My dad had never done more than $100,000 a year. And he also worked at the Bethlehem Steel part-time. So he really never done the business full-time. And at 1974, I decided I wanted to do government business, and my dad, he had never done government business, so he wasn't used to doing big numbers, stuff like that. And when he found out that I was interested in doing government business, he decided that we needed to dissolve the partnership, and it became a proprietorship again. And 1976, I started doing my first federal government.
Hold on, Brandon. Hold on. I got to change the question. Okay, so how did you advertise your business?
I used to use radio. I never used TV. And the kind of business that I was in, the majority of my business was with the Small Business Administration. We were called 8A certified, and you could, any business that you recognize or you could handle, you could go online and save it, have it taken off the marketplace, and get it the next year. So you basically advertising wouldn't be one of your main things that you would do. If you got the business and you got it through the SBA, then the problem that you have is financing it and delivering on what you have to do.
Okay. So you was telling me how you had this business and then you ended it. Basically, it stopped becoming a partnership and you took full ownership. So how did you have to like convince your mom to go back in? How did your mom convince you to go back in business?
It really wasn't any convincing on my mother's part. She was trying to slow me down because it was an opportunity there and I wanted to take advantage of it. You figure in 63, I was in high school and I was all ready to go except for I had to do my military duty. So 4 years I left Baltimore, Maryland, and had to go in the Navy for 4 years. I managed to get married and have a daughter. And I was ready to go when I got back to Baltimore. And some of my friends that had went to Morgan and stuff, they would tell me about the program at the SBA, the 8A program. And once I got they helped me get certified. It was just a matter of finding out what contracts I wanted and having them reserve them for me the next year.
Okay. So, through all of your history, well, what other businesses did you have is what I should also ask you. So you had the oil company.
Yeah, I had the oil company. There was some advertising in one of the Baltimore magazine about this old man who was in the rib business, and he was cooking ribs out of his backyard. And people all over the state were going out there in Rolls Royces to taste his ribs. Evidently, he used to be a cook on a train. And he was evidently cooking some of the best ribs. And my problem was, I thought that maybe the smart bet was to have a place other than someone's backyard where you can get delicious ribs. So I bought an old fish and chips restaurant and converted it to a rib. Went to St. Louis to see somebody that had done it and how they, the model that they used and how everything was working. I visited this rib place in St. Louis and got a chance to ask a lot of questions. Came back and set the model up, and we went in business. We had a covered wagon on the front lawn. Gave it a sort of a Western country flair to it. And we brought in a rotisserie cooker to cook the ribs. And had that put in there. And we used to cook ribs to order, whatever kind of ribs you wanted. And it did pretty good for 3 or 4 years. And eventually I wound up closing it up. I had bought a couple of gas stations trying to get into the gas station business because I knew it was just a matter of time that the 80 program was going to end and we weren't going to have that anymore. So I was trying to get something that I could replace the 80 business, and I tried some of the gas stations, and I think I just simply ran out of time before I could get all the things I was trying to do done.
Okay, so you had the gas stations, the rib place, the oil company. Those are the only 3 businesses you had?
Yeah.
Okay. So, what was the hardest lesson that you had to learn from having these companies?
Well, the problem that I had with the restaurant, and that's probably the hardest business to be in, the restaurant business, because different areas have a different taste. And I found out the hard way that Baltimore is a seafood town. Ribs is not the thing that most people are looking for when they come to Baltimore. They're looking for seafood. And even though we had sort of modernized and had a place that you could sit and eat ribs, and just like you were in Virginia or the Carolinas or Memphis or something, this was still a seafood town. And no matter what you do, you're not going to outsell seafood in Baltimore. Seafood.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, seafood is the number one thing. And restaurants are businesses that traditionally, if you're trying to sell something that for years they haven't eaten, you're pretty much wasting your time. That's what I found out, one of the hard things to find out.
And a lesson or 2 lessons that you learned that changed your life as of today?
2 things.
Mm-hmm.
One, I guess being in business and starting a business is tremendously hard. I mean, a lot of friends that I had used to be good friends with Chicken George. And Chicken George, he had a great business. The problem that he had was he was competing against Kentucky Fried Chicken, Popeyes, and those guys, they were multi-million-dollar businesses, and in the real sense of the word, it was just no way for him to compete. I doubt very seriously if he could, come up with the kind of money that they could raise to try to compete against them. The second thing, I think, it's nice to start a business, but I think your business, for the sake of competing, needs to be something that you came up with, your original idea. Trying to come up with something that it's got a lot of big players in it, like Exxon and Crown and American Oil and Sunoco and Mobil. Those guys have been in business probably before the Civil War. And you coming along, number one, you don't have the money. Number two, you don't have the name recognition. So you got a serious battle ahead of you, to try to compete against those kind of companies. So the only way is the way that Microsoft did it. Come up with an innovation or an idea that is simply yours. You don't have to worry about competing against somebody and develop the reputation that it takes to have name recognition.
Okay. So what would you recommend to any small business owners? Like some advice you recommend to them?
When you're setting up your model, your business that you want to go into, try to choose something that you can control, something that is an innovation of your own, something that you came up with, and nobody else came up with that idea. And you can register it and take it up from infancy to a full-grown business. And eventually keep in mind that you want to finance your business on the stock market. So anything you set up, you want to put it on the stock market so you can get unlimited amounts of money for it to finance it.
Okay. So I think my last question is, how do you think your business impacted your children?
I'd say I think my kids saw me struggling to build this business, and I think they finally got my best advice, and that was to get the education that they needed to go into any profession that they felt qualified in doing. My daughter is a doctor of pharmacy. I sent her to school, private school. I could afford to send her to private school. And my two boys, they're majoring in computer science. And they never got their degrees, but they did go to college. I suspect that they're very comfortable in their jobs that they're working on. They make at least over $100,000 each one of them per year. So I think they're able to take care of their families very well without having to be in business. Business is very hard and it's very difficult, especially if you're competing against people that's been in business for 100 years.
That was a good answer.
Thank you.
So I know you said that religion was your, what'd you say?
I think you asked me to describe myself. And what I said was that I'm a very religious person. I believe in reading the Bible. I believe in um, committing yourself to what you believe and to believe it with all your heart and soul. And that the Holy Spirit is your uh, your comforter, your person that you can actually communicate with, and that will direct your path and lead you in the right direction to do almost anything that you feel challenged in doing.
I just remember I forgot to ask you a question.
What?
So, the ending of your business, how did you know it was the end?
Well, toward the end, I think it was around 1985. Pretty much everything that could go wrong went wrong, and it became very plain as the handwriting on the wall that it was time to get out of business. I had like about 30 some trucks. I was doing about $60 million in business. I was borrowing probably $4 or $5 million every year to try to pay the bills and finance my receivables. And the business was really growing too fast. I mean, each and every year I'd almost doubled the total receipts. And eventually I think you just get wore out. You can't keep up with everything. And rather than to lose everything, I decided that I was going to get out, and I started selling everything. First thing I did, I sold the office building. I paid $400,000 for it. I sold it for $7. The one of the gas stations, I think I paid $80 for it, and I think I sold that for $100,000. The restaurant, I was in the process of selling it. I had it sold to Popeyes for $500,000, and they must have read in the newspaper that I was in trouble, and my lawyer and their lawyer decided to drop the price from $500,000 to $400,000. I was able to keep just one gas station, which I still have today. Leased it out to someone that pays me a monthly fee for the station for the last 25 years. And let me see, I think, the terminal, they just auctioned it off. That was the only thing that I really lost money on. And I didn't really lose a lot because they auctioned it off for $100,000. I think I paid $115 for it. And I sold all the trucks. I understood that they really got good money for it because basically the trucks were in good shape, and we did a good job of taking care of them and everything. So pretty much got rid of everything and decided to come home and take a job.
To take a job?
Yeah.
What was your job at home?
I was doing some selling for this home health agency. I represented them, tried to help them to do some growing. And I also worked for, I think, an insurance company. That was pretty much it.
So, well, I think that's all the questions I had.
Very good. Thank you.
Thank you.